So I want to ask you guys a really important question today. Are you reacting to your life or are you proactively planning your life? And let me step back for just a second and tell you what I mean by that. Are you somebody that's always putting out fires? Or are you somebody who is actually making progress? Are you busy running around chasing after things that are going wrong or things that aren't organized enough? Or are you really actually making progress in your life and business? It is way too easy for us to end up busy and convince ourselves that we're productive. And the number one reason for that is because instead of living our life is controlling us. I have some tips for you today on how to start living your life instead of running around in it, how to start being productive instead of busy, how to start being proactive instead of reactive. My name is Amber Fuhriman, and this is the More Than Corporate podcast. Welcome to the More Than Corporate podcast. I'm Amber Fuhriman, recovering perfectionist and serial accomplisher. If you're anything like I used to be, you've been living your life thinking that if you accomplish enough stuff, you'll finally find the success you've always wanted. But what if it's not about accomplishing more stuff? What if it's about accomplishing the right stuff? I believe you don't find success. You create it by intentionally designing the life you want and having the courage to get out of your comfort zone to live your design. I went from doing what I was supposed to do to doing what I love to do, and now I get to help others do the same. Keep listening as I chat with inspiring people who make it their mission to live their best life every day and learn how you too can live the life you've always wanted. Really quickly, before we jump into this episode is brought to you by Success Development Solutions. Success doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intentionally planning your day. It happens by defining success for yourself. It happens by building a blueprint to the life that you've always wanted to have, giving yourself the freedom to adjust and pivot, surrounding yourself with the tools, resources, and people who can help you accomplish the blueprint that you have created. It also comes from getting out of your comfort zone and being willing to have those tough moments and tough conversations that need to be had in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. If you chase success like it's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you will catch success just as much as you catch that pot of gold. It doesn't exist. So let's talk about this for just a minute. Proactive versus reactive. What do those words mean to you? If you take them outside of the context of what we're talking about today, and you think that if you're proactive, you're doing what? You're taking steps, you're making plans, you are actively making steps towards something instead of being reactive, which reactive is things happen and you then react to them. So instead of, rolling your ball of life in the direction that you want to go by being proactive, you're chasing it around by being reactive. We all laugh at those memes that are out there that say, instead of my ducks being in a row, I don't even know where my ducks are at, right? Or I don't even know if I have ducks. It's so crazy to think that so many times we let our life run us instead of us running our life. And the reality is, if you ever want to have the life that you've dreamed of, if you ever want to have the success that you've dreamed of, if you ever really want to be able to really experience that success and that life, you have to start being proactive. And it starts with taking responsibility for what's going on in your day, planning it out, being cognizant of where your time's going. There's so many things that go into being proactive, but there's a couple of things that I think really start the conversation. And this is where I wanted to spend my time with you today. The first, and you guys know I talk about this all the time, I am in love with calendaring. And I'm not saying that it has to be one way or another. There's 100 different ways to calendar. There's 100 different ways to keep your schedule straight. And whatever one works for you is the one that's right for you. Nobody can ever tell you, hey, do it this way because it worked for me, so I guarantee it will work for you. Instead, what I tell my clients all the time is this worked for me and I want to share it with you, and then take the pieces of this that work for you and make something that works better with the way that you think. So I'm going to do the same thing here. The calendaring, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. If you guys could see my calendar, I probably have, between my law firm and my coaching business and my podcast, broken down into different tasks and different themes. I probably have 20 different calendars linked to my Google Calendar. And all of those things linked to my Calendly. So when somebody wants to schedule a podcast interview with me, or when somebody wants to jump on a connection call with me, or somebody wants to talk about the mastermind or the things that I have coming up, I can just shoot them over that Calendly link and say, here, pick a time that works for you. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. Everything goes on my calendar. And we jokingly laugh about this because a friend of mine, back when we could people, before COVID hit, actually had a concert calendar. Music is really important to me in my life. It's super important for me to unwind, and I love live music, and I love, watching somebody play, especially in a small acoustic setting. And we would have all of these concerts that would pop up, and we would want to make sure that we made time for them. So we had this shared calendar between the two of us, and it was our concert calendar. And we would both add things on when something popped up that we wanted to go to. And I know it sounds really weird, but that's the only way that we were able to keep it straight. When you're playing small, when you're just getting up and reacting to your day and then going to bed, not having a calendar and not having a plan doesn't matter, because you're not actually controlling your life. You're just living it. So I saw this meme a little bit earlier this week that really hit home, and it isn't directly related to this in the way that it was created, but I think that the concept is exactly the same. And it said, imagine playing Monopoly where you didn't buy any properties. Instead, all you did was go around the board collecting $200 and giving that to the rich and trying to stay out of jail. That's how most people live their life. Now, if we take that out of the asset world and we start talking about the time world, it's no different. When you don't take control of your time will take control of you. Your time will get away from you. You'll convince yourself, I'm so busy, right? You've heard me say this before. How many times do you get to the end of the day and you're like, holy crap, I don't even know where my day went, and I have no idea what the hell I did? This is where calendaring and time management and holding yourself accountable all come into play. In order for you to really be effective, you need to be able to take those calendars. You need to be able to track what you actually did throughout the day, and you need to be able to compare the two. Otherwise, the way our mind works, we were perfect all day. I did exactly what I was supposed to do today. And when you don't have any plans, that's true. And then you get to tell yourself that you were a success because you did everything that you were supposed to do today. I mean, it's not wrong, but is it really effective? So number one is calendaring. Number two is like these to-do lists, right? Keeping a list of things that you need to do, but then also tracking that down and cutting it in pieces so that you have actual manageable things. It is so important that you protect your time. Your time is the most important resource that you have. You can't make more time. All you can do is use the time that you have in the most efficient manner possible. Now, there is some amazing conversations that I've had with people in the past about multiplying time. And Rory Vaden has an amazing TED Talk about multiplying time. And so when you start talking about using virtual assistants and leveraging your employees and using automation for things, then you absolutely can multiply time. But for the purposes of this conversation, you can't create more time. You can't add more hours to the day because you didn't effectively manage yourself in the last 24 hours. 24 hours is all you get. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to chase your tail all day long, just hoping that you don't pass out and that you actually get home safely and have time to eat and sleep? Or are you going to make time for the things in your life that are a priority? If you are ready to really start to make time for the things that are a priority in your life, if you're ready to really get clear on what you want, what success means to you, and how you can achieve it, if you are ready to really step in to the fact that you created the reality that you have today and that you have every opportunity to create a new one if you take it, then I would love to have you a part of my 5-day productivity masterclass. You can head over to draftyourday.successdevelopmentsolutions.com and you can check that out. The 5 days, it's all it takes. Super small, super short videos. There is no excuse for you not to take advantage of this if you are ready to take control of your life, unless you don't have time. And if you don't have time, you need this even more. At what point in time do we get to start taking control of our day instead of letting our day control us? Are you ready to be proactive instead of reactive? If so, I look forward to meeting you. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the More Than Corporate podcast. I'm super excited to have you here. You can head over to the Success Center on Facebook and you can join our community. We would love to interact with you, get to know you, and see how we can help you accomplish your goals. As always, remember, you have the ability to design a life that you absolutely love, and you owe it to yourself to get out of your comfort zone and live it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the More Than Corporate podcast. If anything that was said during this episode resonated with you or provided value in any way, it would mean the world to me if you would head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the More Than Corporate podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. If you'd also like to connect, I've created a Facebook group that is full of amazing people who also make it their mission to live their best life every single day. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, the name of that Facebook group is Success Center. Head over there, request to join, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.